to No Fly Zone Radio TV with your host, Biff Sweeney.
Hi guys, welcome to No Fly Zone Radio TV. I'm your host, Biff Sweeney. This is more or less episode 2. It's my second video. Thanks for all the guys to get back to me and enjoyed my first outing last week on YouTube. The Jets went on the road to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said last week I couldn't see them getting a win in this. I thought they were actually going to get hammered. The Pittsburgh Steelers, to me, kept them in the game. The Jets lost 31-13. The Steelers could have been way out in front. Could have hammered the snot out of the Jets. If Sammy Coates had to catch half the balls that were thrown to him, we all knew when he was coming out of Auburn in college that he had an awful lot of drops. He was very inconsistent. He was very inconsistent in that game, but he burnt the Jets in one big play for a touchdown. He went over 130 something yards in that game. The Jets couldn't handle the screen game with the running back. I thought the Steelers kept the Jets in the game. On offense, they were very conservative. There was a lack of spark with the quarterback. Fitzpatrick had an awful lot of balls there. I seen in this game again. There were interceptable balls. He had no interceptions. Like that touchdown to Marshall, that should have been an interception, but Marshall took it out of the cornerback's hands. What's the story with this pass rush for the Jets? I said it last week. The Jets D-line, they're not suited to a 4-3 system. They're a 3-4. They're a 3-4 D-line. There's no pass rush on the edge with the outside linebackers. We all knew when Jenkins was drafted in the 3rd round, he wasn't really a pass rusher. He was a run stopper. Maybe in the future he can become a bit of a pass rusher. Molden is basically become non-existent. I'm a fan of Molden and Jenkins, but he was asked to put on weight. He seemingly slowed down. His snap count has actually been cut down an awful lot. Plus, in a 4-3 system, you've only one outside linebacker, and in that outside linebacker role is Sheldon Richardson, and he shouldn't be there. He's a 3-4 defensive end, defensive tackle, and Todd Bowles said in the off-season, like, they had to use him there last season, but this up-and-coming season, they're not going to use him there at all. But yet, the last few games, Sheldon Richardson has been playing outside linebacker and in coverage as a coverage outside linebacker, which he is not. They had him on their tight end as well. So, I don't know what the hell you're at, Todd Bowles, but that's stupidity in my eyes. And not good enough from Todd Bowles. Harris went down with an injury in the game, the hitman Harris. He looks like Father Time is catching up on Harris. I do think he's not suited to a 4-3 system as well. He's been used in coverage a bit too much, which he's not that type of player. Darren Lee is, but Darren Lee's been used all over the field. As I said last week, Darren Lee's improving with each game. I've seen it in this game as well. There was a bit of miscommunication with him on the touchdown for the tight end. I think there's a bit too much miscommunication every week with this defense. They're slipping up big time the whole time. They look confused a good bit. They take their foot off the gas in the 4th quarter as well. Well, in this game, I thought there was the defensive linemen looked gassed at the end of that game. They're not using the defensive line properly. We've got 3 big dogs there in Sheldon Richardson, Mo Wilkerson, and Leonard Williams. And if you're going to use them properly, use them in a 3-4 defense, and you switch them in and out, keep them fresh, keep them, going to the final whistle fresh, so they can attack a defensive line and not playing defensive ends at outside linebacker. Todd Bowles as well, I wanted to hit on. With each game this season, and I thought, honestly, he'd leave it behind him last season, making rookie mistakes. He's making them, and he seems to be making more this year than last year. For instance, he called a timeout when the play was stopped, the clock was stopped. Head scratcher. I don't know what he was thinking. As well as he seems to be gone extremely fond of punting the ball, especially when there's 1 yard or 2 yards. Late in the fourth quarter when they need to go for it, he punts it. He doesn't seem to care at the moment. I might get F for this now on social media, but I said it after the match last Sunday. It looks like Todd Bowles is playing for the number 1 spot in the 2017 draft. With the way he's coaching this team, that's the way it looks. There doesn't seem to be any improvement at all with him. He seems to have taken a step back. I said it last week, Casey Rogers, where the hell is he? Todd Bowles keeps going on about accountability. I haven't seen it. I think he's given the older guys too much power in the locker room. I think he's given them too much say, and I think it proved over the off season when they all started coming out looking for Fitz to come back, and then they brought in Forte. I didn't think there was a need for Forte, but I actually like Forte, and I don't think they're using him properly. They're running him up the middle. He's not a power back. He's a finesse back. You run him to the outside. You use his hands. You throw the ball to him. They're not doing it. They're not using Bilal Powell properly. The guy has a spark. He's shown it in the last couple of weeks, and they're not using him properly. Excuse me, they're like Bilal Powell. To me, they gave him a contract. They're not giving him enough snaps. He's got the speed. He can go up the middle. He can go on the edge. But he's not that bruiser either. But he falls forward. He likes to drop the shoulder. He's got great hands. He's very twitchy. He's got that wiggle, which I usually say when running backs going up the middle. It was nice to see a couple of tight ends with catches. Bostic had a catch. ASJ, the new tight end, he had 2 catches, 2 nice catches. But what the hell is going on that Kellen Davis can still stick on this roster? It's another head scratcher with Todd Bowles. The guy gives an awful lot of penalties away, can't catch the ball, but yet to keep throwing the ball to him. I don't understand that. The offense looks very, very predictable. Like in each game, you can predict which each play is going to be. You can predict that he's going to stare Marshall down. Fitzpatrick is. You can predict that he's going to sling the ball nearly 90% of Marshall. Marshall is going to do comeback routes probably 90% of the time. So that's how Sherman last week caught Fitzpatrick out with an interception. Another thing is I wanted to say is what the hell is going on with Brandon Marshall in the locker room and talking to the media. Like last week he said he's going to go down with the ship. Shouldn't have been saying that. Shouldn't have said that. this week. He was in the locker room and he says the Jets are now in a perfect position. What the hell does that mean? Shouldn't be saying that either, because they're not in the perfect position, because they're playing like absolute dog poop. I seen him in the locker room as well. He was clapping his hand and go woohoo, woohoo. That looked very, very forceful, unnecessary. Looked like he was uncomfortable as well at times. I get he's very passionate, but there's ways to go about it, and that's not a way to go about it. Mangold went down with an injury as well during the game. That's not good. Another guy that's getting old fast. I love Mangold. I think there might be another 1 year left in him. I'm not sure. This, the New York Jets this season did wear you out mentally as a Jet fan, and this season is beginning to smell like the 2014 season. But if you look at the 2014 season, there was actually lesser talent on that team, but yet at least they had the fight to keep going and going. This team doesn't seem like they have any fight in them after the second half of games. Is Todd Bowles losing the dressing room? He looks lost at times on the sideline. In the pressers, he's contradicting himself now, which isn't a good sign. I'm not for, I should say, sacking a manager halfway through the season, but let's see what happens at the end of the season. If he's still carrying on the way he's carrying on, he could end up getting the bullet. I'm not calling for it now at the moment. But another thing is, when it comes to the likes of guys calling for Fitzpatrick, the QB change, I honestly don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I said it should have happened after this week, but I just can't see it happening, because I don't think this franchise is sold on Geno Smith. I don't think they like Geno Smith anymore. I think he's become, not that he's become, but he's still very immature. I was a Geno fan. I like Geno still, but I just don't see the Jets and him becoming. I don't see him getting back on the field as a New York Jet unless Fitzpatrick goes down with an injury. But saying that again, an awful lot of people are calling for Petty to be introduced as the starting quarterback to see what he has for next season, to get him a bit of experience. But the problem is he still has that shoulder injury, hasn't thrown a ball since August in pre-season. I don't see the Jets rushing him on the field. We all know what the story is with Hackenberg. He's not ready. Too much damage inflicted on him coming out of college. He needs to build himself back up. Maybe next season. I don't know. We could be in the next 2 or 3 weeks starting to talk about who's going to be the next quarterback to chase down in the draft. We could be talking about that, because there seems to be 4 decent quarterbacks at the moment. But my number one guy to start the season was Watson from Clemson. He's regressed this season the way I see it. The way I look at it now, just getting away from the Jets for a second now, because I do love college football and I do love the draft, and so does my co-host Rich Tinley, as he writes for Draft Tech. Watson, when he's in the pocket and the plays breaking down, his first thought seems to be get out of the pocket, run for a first down, run with the ball. That seems to be his first thing. He doesn't stand in the pocket. He doesn't seem to stand in the pocket and look down the field and see if anything opens up. He's tries his best to get outside the pocket too much, and I don't like that, and I don't think it works in the NFL unless you're the Seattle Seahawks quarterback. But he tends to stand in the pocket first. To me, that's what you do. You stand in the pocket first, you stare down the field. If you get the pressure, then you get out of dodge. But Watson seems to, like, it's not even that he's being pressured. He has to get out of the pocket. The Notre Dame quarterback is my number one guy at the moment. The Miami guy, Kaya, is my number 2 guy. Watson's my number 3, and Kelly from Ole Miss is my number 4 guy at quarterback so far. All right, getting back to the Jets. As we done last week, we done 3 studs, and a man of the match. We'll be doing that in our podcast as well when Rich comes, when I get to do it with Rich. Right, my 3 studs. I'll start off with my 3 studs. Start off with the worst. Right, so Todd Bowles is the obvious dud. Mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes. He's contradicting himself as well now in the pressers. It's not a good sight. The arrow's pointing down with Todd Bowles as well. So my number 2 guy is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I know he didn't throw an interception. He looked conservative. He looked like a deer in headlights at the times. He from the first whistle in the first quarter, he was staring down Marshall non-stop and his other receivers, but mainly Marshall. And I noticed it straight away. He threw a good few interceptable balls that weren't intercepted, that he got away with because the Pittsburgh Steelers DBs are not that good, and they had injuries in the safeties. Number 3 guy is Matt Forte. I know they're not using him properly, but he is not making an impact. He looks slow. He's when he's running up the middle, he seems to be finding an offensive lineman's butt and running into it, he's not finding the holes, and that's a big problem. Right, that's my 3 duds. My 3 studs is Brendan Marshall. I thought he had a good day. He had 114 yards, a touchdown that he made himself basically, because he took the ball from a cornerback's hands. Quincy Enunwa had 51 yards. I thought he had another good game. Leonard Williams had another good game. He had a sack. He's improving with each game. As I said, he's becoming a beast. And my man of the match is Billy Powell. He had that spark again. He's got the speed. He's doing what he does best. As I said earlier on, he's got the wiggle and everything. He's falling forward. He's doing all the right things, ticking all the boxes. But yet the Jets keep going away from him and going back to Forte. I don't understand why. So that's that. The Jets are on the road again to Arizona. Going back to where Todd Bowles came from and signed with the Jets as the defensive coordinator. It's Monday Night Football. It's the Arizona Cardinals haven't been playing up to their standard this year, and there's a couple of teams now in the NFL that haven't, with solid teams, and neither have the Jets. But on the road again, going away to Arizona, and Arizona are a good team, but they're not playing well. I'm expecting a tight game, but another loss, and the Jets go 1-5. And then they'll face the Ravens. That's it for this week, guys. You can catch me on Twitter and Facebook. So I'm on Twitter at BiffRudeJet. The show is on Twitter. It's at No Fly Zone Radio. It's also on Facebook, No Fly Zone Radio. Good night, guys. Slán and go Jets.